Hey, what is up guys? Iggy Films here. Welcome back to a brand new video. And today I wanted to talk about something that means a lot to me, which is Batman. And this isn't my first time doing a video like this. Last time I did this, I talked about my hopes for Batman, the Batman, originally when it was Ben Affleck's The Batman. And none of that video aged well, but I wanted to do something similar today and talk about my hopes for The Brave and the Bold, because I think this film has a lot of potential, but could also go very, very wrong. Now, I haven't made a video about Superman, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was one of the most refreshing superhero films I've seen in a while. It very much felt like a return to formula in a way for these movies, and it also felt like we could finally have fun with these characters. I love Zack Snyder's interpretation of the DC characters. Say what you will about the DCU, I'm not a big fan of it either, but Zack Snyder specifically was definitely probably the best point that the DCU had in its history, until James Gunn started adding stuff towards the end, because Zack Snyder had a vision and it wasn't just disconnected movies, and a lot of people may have not agreed with that vision, but it was at least a consistent one at first. And I love his take on those characters. I love Henry Cavill's Superman. I love Man of Steel. Man of Steel is a great movie. I think it's a great Superman origin story. But it's not a Superman movie. While Zack Snyder's Man of Steel felt more like day one as Superman, this felt more like a day in the life of Superman. And that's something I really thoroughly enjoyed about the film. Another thing I really enjoyed about the film was the tone and overall visual aesthetic. Now, this video is not about Superman, so I won't get too sidetracked with this, but I did love the film. I just wanted to touch on it a little bit. And I'm really hoping that with this next Batman, Brave and the Bold, we can sincerely capture the true essence of the comic book of Batman, in the same way that Superman captured it recently. I love that James Gunn took from All-Star Superman's aesthetic, and I'm really hopeful that for this next film we're going to get the same treatment, and we've gotten those hints from James Gunn that this film will be inspired by Grant Morrison's run of Batman, specifically the Damian Wayne storyline. Now, this is one of the first storylines I ever read as a Batman fan. I remember reading this as a kid, as well as the origin of Bane. And I really hope this movie is able to capture the dynamic of the Bat family and really focus on it as its central and vital theme. Damian Wayne is a lot of fun. I hope they show Dick Grayson as well, and Tim Drake, and their relationship with the two. Like I said, I love Zack Snyder's previous interpretation, and I love Robert Pattinson's interpretation. I'm really honestly, it might sound like I love every Batman. I really don't. I mean, I don't hate any of them, but I love the main three for me have been Robert Pattinson, Ben Affleck, and Michael Keaton. I do love Christian Bale, but those three that I listed, I think, just capture Bruce Wayne in a way that just feels extremely accurate to how I remember him growing up. And something about Zack Snyder's Batman was that Dick Grayson died early on, and that's why this Batman is a lot more of a vicious and savage Batman, and that's why he isn't really as hopeful as he used to be until he meets Superman and sees his sacrifice. And that's a cool idea. I love that. And just like I love Man of Steel, I love that, but I want something else with this, and I know we're going to get something else, and I'm excited for it. And I really hope that other Snyder fans are able to be excited about this too, because I think this could be a lot of fun. And with the inclusion of Dick Grayson, I think we could really extend the Bat family and show Robin in a new light, because we haven't seen Robin in live action since Batman and Robin, or since Batman and Robin. But yeah, I would love to see all the Robins: Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, Damian Wayne, Jason Todd. I mean, I wouldn't even mind if they skipped over Jason Todd and went full animated series mode and just like completely just did Tim and Dick. And that really excites me because I think there's a lot of potential in that. I think casting wise, I think they should go for complete unknowns. I feel like a core part of Robin is like, you're kind of taking like a kid off the street, you know, when you look at it from Batman's point of view. And I think that could bleed into the performance if you get complete unknowns. I would love if this Batman also sets up Batman Reborn, because it just only seems natural since we're picking up with a Batman that is a father. Now, I do want a Justice League movie with this Batman, at least two. Give us two. But I wouldn't mind if this whole like trilogy sets up another Batman trilogy for Batman Reborn, because it only seems natural. I mean, we've had Bruce Wayne for so long now. There are only so many stories that you can adapt with Bruce Wayne. And we've had Bruce Wayne, and we have a lot of great stories where other people take up the role as Batman, and I would personally love to see Dick Grayson take up the role, because I think his dynamic and Damian Wayne's dynamic would just be incredible to watch. Honestly, if they just follow the comics really closely and just really adapt those moments and flesh them out, I don't know. I just think Grant Morrison's run of Batman is just incredible and absolutely one of the best. And they have to get a good writer, a writer that's familiar with Batman for this. James Gunn, if you want to contact me, it's at iggyfilms.pp on Instagram. But if you want a more experienced writer, completely understandable. I've only made one mid-fan film and 3 okay short films. But yeah, they really need a writer for this film that can capture Batman and truly knows this character. Andy Muschietti is on board to direct the film, and I really just hope that he sticks to Batman being in the dark, because I think the best Batman scenes were in dark rooms or at night in The Flash. I don't hate the Batfleck stuff. I think it's cool up until we see him standing in broad daylight. Maybe don't film him from that angle, because it's kind of like a low angle, especially if they're going to have a swole Batman. Like, that kind of angle isn't the most appealing. Because in the behind-the-scenes footage, Affleck doesn't look bloated in the suit, but in the angle that they went with in the movie, he just looks bad in the suit. And it's not even him or the suit, I think. It's mostly just the angle, and I think the color grading too, because I think they changed the color of the suit to blue instead of black. Which, if they do go blue and gray, I mean, that's really interesting. That'd be cool. I would love that personally, but I don't know if it's I don't know how they could pull that off. I think a black and gray suit to start would be cool and would be a safe route to go. Something kind of like the Batman v Superman suit, but maybe with a yellow emblem would be great. I don't want the yellow outline, like, I don't want the rebirth bullshit. I want classic Batman. I want classic looking Batman, or I just want him to have just a regular black bat on his chest. I think a similar suit to the BVS suit would be great. I like the Justice League suit, but I don't like the extra lines. Just once they started adding extra lines, that just kind of ruined it for me. Which I wouldn't be too shocked if that's what they did again, because they did that with Superman. But I really hope they go with something classic, something like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit. I want the Batman suit to have the same kind of spandex texture, and to have maybe armor underneath it, so that when Batman gets cut or injured, you just see armor bleeding through the spandex instead of his skin. I think that would just be such a cool idea, and I would love to see a Batman that looks like that. And if I had to do Batman, I personally would design the suit in that way. And I'm pretty hopeful with Andy Muschietti. I know The Flash isn't perfect. I know I said it's really good. I know that video also aged kind of badly, because a lot of people like to kind of shit on The Flash. But I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as most people think it is. For what it is, I think it's a decent movie. I don't think it's really good. I think I was just kind of slightly in denial because I'm a Flash fan. But also, you give me Batman, I'm gonna eat that up no matter what, honestly. But yeah, like with The Flash, I know it's not a perfect movie, but the Batman scenes were definitely a highlight in the film, especially the Keaton stuff. And I'm hopeful that with the suits that we saw in the Batcave and like all the other stuff, I'm hopeful that Andy Muschietti is going to keep it classic, like Batman. As far as aesthetic, like I said earlier, I really hope it's very comic booky, but also I hope that he goes for something like the Tim Burton movies, because those movies captured Gotham in a way that I don't think has been captured since. And I would love like a more futuristic version of that Gotham, and to see what that would look like, as well as more comic accurate. Give me the big dinosaur, give me the giant penny in the Batcave. I want all of that. I'm not saying go full Blade Runner with Gotham, but having it be more advanced in this DC world where Lois Lane flies spaceships, I think would be a good fit for the universe. As far as Batman castings, there's a lot of names being thrown around, like Alan Ritchson, who looks like Bruce Wayne, leaped off the page. If not, I think Jake Gyllenhaal would be great too. I know that there were rumors about him playing Batman in The Batman, but that never panned out. I still think he would be a great Bruce Wayne. I think they would both make great Batman. A wild one that I would throw out there, this is gonna be a crazy theory, but I don't think this is credible at all. This is just me going crazy, alright? But hear me out. Someone I also think would make a great Batman, and I know this is a wild one, but George Clooney as a Bat Dad in a new universe wouldn't be half bad. Now, I know. The original plans for the soft reboot of DC, when Walter Hamada was the one running things, was to replace Ben Affleck's Batman with 89 Keaton. Replacing him with Clooney would be almost the same plan, but hear me out. Clooney is 9 years younger than Michael Keaton. But also, Clooney never really got a chance to shine as Bruce Wayne. And I feel like with the older Bat Dad approach that Gunn is going for, I could perfectly see Clooney do that type of role. He might be a little too old, but there's nothing hair dye can't do, honestly, because he doesn't look bad. And if they're going for a Bat Dad type of role and a Batman that's been around for a while, I don't know. I just think going with a 60-year-old Batman, especially one that's on his way out, wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, I really like the Battle for the Cowl storyline, and I love Batman Reborn, and I would love to see that be the eventual plan, because I think like the fact that we never saw anything after The Dark Knight Rises is kind of a crime against humanity. Because we should have seen Nightwing. We should have seen that stuff. But in a way, we really shouldn't have. Because that's what the artist intended. That's what he wanted. But as fans, we're going to always want that, right? We're always going to need that or think we need that. And it would be so cool to see a different iteration of Batman kind of pass the baton, pass the torch over to another Batman, and see this Batman grow and become the Batman of the DCU. In a way, this also would keep the Flash canon, because I know I know, like, originally James Gunn said the Flash resets the DCU. Now, he could have just been lying to all of us, which is very well may be the case. I'm recording this a few days before Peacemaker comes out, so I don't know if Peacemaker is going to hop from the DCEU to the DCU and replace the Peacemaker of the DCU so he can live a great life where he's a celebrity and he gets to go on television. I don't know. I don't know if that's what the plan is. That sounds like a hilarious plan and a great way to write John Cena's character into all of this. But I also don't know if James Gunn was actually being for real when he said the Flash resets the DCEU into the DCU. Because even though Ezra Miller might not come back as Barry Allen, if they just cast a similar looking brunette as the role, or maybe an older guy as Barry Allen that has the same kind of hair color, same kind of look as Ezra Miller, you could just say, like, he really did reset the timeline. Because I've heard rumors that the Peacemaker Season 1 recap will show a montage of the first season, but instead of the Justice League from the Snyderverse, it's the Justice Gang. Now, the only explanation for that would be the Flash resets the DCEU to the DCU. But hey, who knows? This video might age terribly, that might not. James Gunn might just act like Peacemaker's always been in the DCU. I don't know. And I really hope he doesn't do that, honestly, because I think that's not the best way to go about things, but who knows? Who knows? I think Peacemaker is going to settle this once and for all. At the end of the day, Superman is the true starting point to this universe. So let's not think about it too deeply, guys. It's just a fucking superhero movie. But yeah, with the Robins, with Batman, with everything, I'm just really excited, really hopeful with this new universe. And I'm optimistic with Andy Muschietti directing the film. I know a lot of people don't want him to do it, but I'm optimistic. But yeah, anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Sorry for the lack of uploads. Recently had a health scare with my cat, but everything's all good now. We're going to be back to regular uploads at least twice a month. But yeah, guys, that's it for the video. I'll see y'all later.